On November 15th, 2023, at exactly 9:17 p.m., my son Brandon locked me out of his house in freezing rain with $40 in my wallet and no phone. I'm Jenny Wade. I was 65 years old, recovering from a stroke that left my right hand at 38% grip strength, and my knee surgery was only 3 months old. My daughter-in-law Melissa had just told the perfect lie. I stood on that porch, rain soaking through my jacket, and I didn't cry. I said one thing. Son, call Pastor Gloria. She knows the truth. Brandon slammed the door. The deadbolt clicked. Then I decided to survive. I'm 67 now, sitting in Tucson, Arizona, watching December rain. 2 years ago, I thought I knew my son. I was wrong about a lot of things that night, but I wasn't wrong about the truth. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end. This is my story. Every word is true. I'm Jenny Mae Washington Wade, born 1958 in Portland, Oregon. Taught 3rd grade at Jefferson Elementary for 32 years. Married Samuel Wade in 1981. One son, Brandon Michael Wade, born April 1983. Samuel died March 15th, 2020. Heart attack at our kitchen table. Brandon held me up at the funeral. We'll get through this together, Mom. I've got you. 3 years later, he threw me into a storm. September 2022, I had a stroke. Right hemisphere. Left my dominant hand weak. 38% grip strength, the doctor said. I couldn't live alone anymore. Mom, come stay with us, Brandon said. We have that guest room. We'll take care of you. So in October 2022, I moved into Brandon and Melissa's Craftsman House on Northwest Everett Street. Melissa Reynolds had married Brandon in 2019. She was 33 then, beautiful, polished, worked in marketing. Samuel had whispered at their wedding, Jenny, that girl loves what Brandon can give her. I'm not sure she loves Brandon. I should have listened. The first month was fine, but Melissa started changing. November 2022. Brandon, maybe we should look into assisted living for your mom. January 2023. We never have privacy anymore. March 2023. I didn't sign up to be a caretaker. I married you, not your whole family. I heard that through the bedroom wall. I made myself smaller after that. Quieter. August 2023, I had knee surgery. Torn meniscus. Recovery was slow. The physical therapist wrote, patient at risk of falling with sudden movements. But there were other things, stranger things. I started noticing men's cologne in the living room, not Brandon's brand, something expensive and woody. In October, when Brandon was on a business trip, I saw a black Audi in our driveway at 8 p.m. I heard voices, laughter, music. The car left by 11 p.m. It happened again. And again, always when Brandon traveled. I took medication every night at 7:30 p.m., blood pressure pills and trazodone for sleep. The trazodone made me drowsy by 8 p.m. By 8:30, I was always asleep. Melissa knew this. She brought me dinner at 7:45 enough times to see me fading. I thought she was being kind. October 12th, Brandon's business partner came for dinner. Derek Sullivan, 42, good-looking, drove a black Audi. A black Audi. I watched Melissa touch Derek's arm when she passed him the breadbasket. Her laugh was different with him. Higher. After dinner, I excused myself. As I walked away, I heard Melissa say, Derek, you should come by more often. I'd like that, he replied. October 19th, Brandon left for San Francisco. That night at 8:15, the black Audi pulled up. I fought the medication, stayed awake. I heard Derek's voice. I brought wine. Music, laughter. At 11:30, he left. Next morning, Melissa smiled. Derek stopped by to drop off documents for Brandon, work stuff. At 8 p.m., we got to talking. Lost track of time. I took a photo of the car with my phone. Timestamp, 8:47 p.m. I counted 7 visits total from September to November, always when Brandon was away. But I said nothing. I was the burden living in their house. Who would believe me? November got worse. November 3rd. Brandon, some couples our age actually get to spend time alone together. November 8th. Mrs. Wade, could you clean up after yourself? It's like having a teenager in the house. November 10th, I heard Melissa on the phone. Ashley, I can't do this much longer. She's always here, always watching. I feel trapped. But I think I found a way out. A way out? What did that mean? November 13th was Brandon's birthday. Melissa threw a party, just us and Derek. She gave Brandon an expensive watch, toasted him. I'm so lucky to have you. Her hand rested too long on Derek's shoulder. That night I heard them in their bedroom. Anything for you. You know that, right? I'd do anything for you. The words were right. The tone was wrong. November 15th, 2023. Brandon had a business trip to Seattle, flying back that evening, home by 9 p.m. At 2:30 p.m., he texted, plane delayed, landing at 8:45, home by 9:15. At 7:30 p.m., I took my medications, all 3 pills. At 7:45 p.m., Melissa knocked. Mrs. Wade, I brought you dinner. Chicken, green beans, mashed potatoes. She'd even put a cloth napkin on the tray. That's very kind, Melissa. She smiled. Warm, genuine. Of course. Enjoy. I ate and settled into my recliner. The trazodone hit. My eyelids got heavy. The TV turned to white noise. I drifted. Slept. When I woke, confused and groggy, I heard voices. Brandon's voice. I checked my phone. 9:17 p.m. I struggled up, made it to my door. Down the hallway, I saw them. Brandon in his travel clothes, overnight bag dropped. Melissa with her blouse torn at the shoulder. Mascara running. A dark purple bruise on her left arm. Brandon, I didn't want to tell you like this, she sobbed. Your mother, when I brought her dinner, she grabbed me. She pushed me. I tried to pull away. She covered her face, shoulders shaking. Brandon turned. Saw me. His face changed. The warmth drained from his eyes. Mom, what did you do? I've been asleep since you brought dinner, Melissa. I just woke up. Look at her, Melissa cried, holding out her bruised arm. Look what she did. I never touched you. My voice was weak, confused. Brandon, I was asleep. The medication. You grabbed me so hard, Melissa whispered. You said horrible things. The Ring camera, Brandon said. The footage will show. I deleted it, Melissa said quickly. I was panicked. I accidentally deleted it. Son, call Pastor Gloria. She knows my medication schedule. I'm asleep by 8:30 every night. I can see the evidence right in front of me, Brandon said coldly. He grabbed my left arm, hard. His fingers dug into my flesh, leaving marks, a bitter irony compared to Melissa's fake bruise. Brandon, please, how could you? I brought you into my home, and you attacked my wife? I didn't. Don't lie to my face. He pulled me toward the door. My knee buckled. My cane clattered to the floor. Please, it's freezing outside. Let me get my phone. He grabbed my jacket and wallet, threw them at me. Get out. Son, please, get out. He pushed me onto the porch. The door slammed. The deadbolt clicked. I pounded on the door. Brandon! Brandon! Inside, lights went out. Living room, hallway, kitchen. Through the window, I saw Melissa's silhouette. She was watching. For just a second, our eyes met. She smiled. Not the traumatized smile of a victim. Cold, satisfied, victorious. Then she walked away. I checked my wallet with shaking hands. $43. No phone. The rain fell harder. I looked down the dark street. 3.5 miles to Riverside Community Church, where Pastor Gloria ran a shelter. I took the first step. November rain in Portland is relentless. Within 2 minutes, my jacket was soaked. Within 5, I was shivering. 1 foot in front of the other. Don't think about the distance. Just walk. 1/4 mile. I passed Mrs. Eleanor Collins' house. Lights on, warm inside. I kept walking. 1/2 mile. I passed the mailbox where I used to wait for little Brandon after school. Mom! I got a gold star. That little boy with gold stars had just thrown me into a storm. 1 mile. My knee was screaming. The surgery was only 3 months old. I leaned against a bus shelter, whole body shaking. Hypothermia. I knew the signs. Uncontrollable shivering, confusion, the dangerous temptation to rest. I kept moving. 1.5 miles. I stumbled, nearly fell. Cars passed, splashing water. None stopped. I looked like what I was, some homeless woman in the rain. 2 miles. My thoughts scattered. Where am I going? Why am I walking? Then I remembered. Church, Pastor Gloria, 3.5 miles. 2.5 miles. My vision tunneled. The cold whispered, just sit down, just rest. No, keep moving. Moving means alive. 3 miles. I saw it. The church steeple, lights still on. Hope surged. I pushed forward, staring at that steeple like salvation. The church parking lot. Pastor Gloria's blue Honda Civic still there. 20 feet from the steps. My knees buckled. I hit the wet pavement hard. Couldn't get up. Everything stopped. I thought, this is how I die. Because my son believed a lie. Then, darkness. Jenny? Oh my God! Jenny! Warm hands on my face, a coat draped over me. Stay with me. I'm calling 911. Pastor Gloria. Ambulance, Riverside Community Church, 2547 Northeast 82nd Avenue. Woman collapsed, hypothermic. Please hurry. Sirens, red and blue lights, hands lifting me, heated blankets. Ma'am, can you tell me your name? Jenny Wade. You're going to be fine. We've got you. In the ambulance, they put an oxygen mask on my face. I heard Gloria on her phone, voice angry. Brandon Wade, your mother just collapsed in my parking lot. Hypothermia. You threw her out in a storm? I don't care what Melissa said. Your mother takes medication that makes her drowsy. She was asleep. I've known her 40 years. She's never hurt anyone. Pause. Elder abuse. Yes, elder abuse. And I'm reporting it. 2 words. Elder abuse. Those words would change everything. The ambulance stopped. Hospital lights. Antiseptic smell. Jenny, we're at the hospital. You're safe. But I wasn't safe. My son thought I was a monster. His wife was sleeping peacefully, her lie intact. My last thought, please God, let the truth come out. Then exhaustion pulled me under. I woke to the sound of machines beeping and the smell of antiseptic. For a confused moment, I thought I was back in the hospital after my stroke. September 2022, the last time my body had betrayed me. Then the memories crashed back. The rain, the walk, Melissa's smile, Brandon's face. This time my son had put me here. The clock on the wall read 3:47 a.m., November 16th, 2023. About 6 hours since I'd collapsed in Pastor Gloria's parking lot. My body ached everywhere. My knee throbbed. My chest felt tight. When I tried to move my right hand, pain shot up my arm. A nurse came in, a young woman with kind eyes and bright pink scrubs. Mrs. Wade, you're awake. How are you feeling? Like I walked 3 miles in freezing rain, I said. My voice came out raspy, rough. She smiled sadly. That's because you did. She checked the machines, made notes on a tablet. You have moderate hypothermia. Your core temperature was 91.3 degrees when you came in. That's dangerously low. You've also re-injured your knee. We've put you in a brace, and there's significant bruising on your left arm. I looked down at my arm. Dark purple marks, finger-shaped, clear as day. My bruise was real. Melissa's was fake. The doctor will be in shortly, the nurse said. In the meantime, there's someone waiting to see you. Pastor Bennett? She's been here all night. Let her in, please. Pastor Gloria came in looking exhausted. She'd been wearing a navy coat when she found me. I remembered that. Now she wore hospital scrubs that someone must have lent her. Jenny. She sat in the chair beside my bed, took my left hand. Thank God you're okay. I'm not okay, Gloria. My son, I called him. Her voice was hard. 3 hours ago. Told him you were here. Told him what he did was elder abuse. What did he say? He hung up on me. Gloria's jaw tightened. But 20 minutes later, a social worker called me back. Brandon filed a police report. He's standing by Melissa's story. The words hit like a physical blow, even now, even after everything. He still believes her, I whispered. The truth will come out, Jenny. I promise you that. At 7:15 a.m., there was a knock on my door. A man in his mid-30s stepped in, carrying a tablet and wearing a hospital badge that read, Social Services. Mrs. Wade, I'm Timothy Brooks, hospital social worker. I need to ask you some questions about what happened last night. Gloria stood. I'll give you privacy. No. I held her hand tighter. Please stay. Timothy sat down, opened his tablet. Mrs. Wade, when a person over 65 presents in the ER with injuries consistent with abuse or neglect, we have mandatory reporting protocols. Can you tell me what happened? So I told him. Living with Brandon after my stroke, Melissa's accusations, Brandon's immediate belief, being expelled into the storm without phone or proper clothing. Timothy took detailed notes. Your son threw you out at approximately 9:17 p.m. Yes. Temperature that night was 38 degrees Fahrenheit with rain. You had $43 and no phone? That's correct. You walked 3.5 miles to this church, arriving at approximately 12:30 a.m. Yes. He looked up from his tablet. Mrs. Wade, I've been doing this job for 8 years. I've seen a lot of lies. People who lie change their stories, add details, get defensive. He paused. You just told me what happened. Like you're still trying to understand it yourself. That tells me you're telling the truth. My son isn't a bad person, I said quickly. He was lied to. Intent doesn't change outcome, Timothy said gently. You nearly died last night. You were forced out without proper protection, phone, or shelter based on unverified accusations. Under Oregon law, that's elder abuse. I've already notified Adult Protective Services. I don't want to press charges against my son. This isn't about pressing charges, Mrs. Wade. It's about finding the truth. If your daughter-in-law made false accusations that led to this, that's a crime. The investigation will uncover what really happened. After Timothy left, Gloria pulled her chair closer. Where will I go when they discharge me? I asked. I can't go back to Brandon's house. You're staying with me, Gloria said firmly. My guest room is yours for as long as you need. I wanted to cry, but I was too tired. Thank you. Jenny, listen to me. That woman is evil. What she did, framing you, making sure Brandon was away and coming home late, staging everything during your medication window, that's not impulsive. That's calculated. But why? What did I ever do to her? You existed, Gloria said quietly. You were in her way. That was enough. November 16th, 9:30 a.m. The door opened again. This time, a woman in a gray blazer stepped in. She was about 48, black, with sharp eyes and a leather portfolio under her arm. Her badge read, Adult Protective Services. Mrs. Wade, I'm Patricia Washington. I'm an investigator with Oregon AAPS. I'd like to hear your story. Patricia Washington had been investigating elder abuse cases for 23 years. She'd seen it all. Financial exploitation, physical abuse, neglect, abandonment. She told me later that she'd learned to spot liars within 5 minutes. You weren't lying, she said. You just looked heartbroken. I told her everything. She took notes in a leather-bound notebook, occasionally asking clarifying questions. What time did you take your evening medication? 7:30 p.m., same time every night. What medication exactly? Lisinopril 10 milligrams, atorvastatin 20 milligrams, and trazodone 50 milligrams. The trazodone, that makes you drowsy? Within 30 minutes. By 8 p.m., I'm usually nodding off. By 8:30, I'm completely asleep. Patricia made a note. Did Melissa know this? Yes. She'd brought me dinner enough times to see me getting sleepy. What time did she bring dinner on November 15th? 7:45 p.m. Patricia's pen paused. Then she wrote something and underlined it twice. After I finished my story, Patricia closed her notebook. Mrs. Wade, with your permission, I'd like to review your complete medical records. Whatever you need. She spent the afternoon with hospital staff reviewing everything. My stroke records from September 2022. Physical therapy notes documenting my right hand weakness. Grip strength at 38% of normal specific notation. Patient unable to grip objects firmly with right hand. My knee surgery records from August 2023. Postoperative notes. Patient at risk of falling with sudden movements. Limited mobility. Requires cane for distances over 100 yards. She compared these to Melissa's police report. Melissa claimed I grabbed her left arm hard enough to leave bruising. She claimed I pushed her forcefully when she tried to pull away. Patricia's analysis was methodical. For a grip to leave visible bruising requires significant pressure, minimum 15 to 20 pounds per square inch. My right hand, according to PT assessments, could barely grip a coffee mug firmly. For a forceful push, you need balance and core strength. My knee injury meant I couldn't even push a heavy door without risking a fall. At 4:30 p.m., Patricia returned to my room. Mrs. Wade, I've reviewed your medical records thoroughly. She sat down, opened her portfolio. What your daughter-in-law described, grabbing hard enough to bruise, pushing forcefully, your body isn't capable of doing that. You believe me? The words came out as a question, but really it was a realization. Medical evidence doesn't lie, Mrs. Wade. Bodies tell the truth even when people don't. I started crying, not sad tears, relief tears. Thank you. Thank you for asking. My own son didn't even ask. Patricia let me cry for a moment. Then, Mrs. Wade, your son mentioned Ring camera footage. He said your daughter-in-law told him it was deleted. Yes. She said she accidentally deleted it in her panic. Patricia's expression changed. Not quite a smile, but something close. Wade, I need to make some calls. I'll be back tomorrow. She stood, gathering her portfolio. Ring cameras store footage in the cloud for 60 days. Even deleted videos stay backed up. Your daughter-in-law didn't know that. Hope fluttered in my chest. The footage is still there? If it exists, I'll find it. November 19th. 3 days into the investigation. Patricia called Brandon at 9 a.m. I wasn't there for the conversation, but she told me later how it went. Mr. Wade, this is Patricia Washington with Adult Protective Services. I need access to your Ring camera account for my investigation. Brandon's voice sounded exhausted. The footage is gone. Melissa deleted it. I understand that's what you were told, but I'd still like to check the account myself. Will you give me permission? A long pause. You think my mother is telling the truth? I think the evidence will tell us the truth. Will you give me access? Yes. If it helps clear this up, yes. He gave her the login credentials over the phone. Username, wade1983@gmail.com. Password, Trailblazers number 40. Patricia logged in from her office at 447 Northeast Gleason Street. She checked the main footage library first, empty for November 15th, just as Melissa had said. But Patricia had done this before. She knew Ring's system. She went to Settings, found Cloud Backup, clicked on Archived Footage. And there it was, November 15th, 2023. All of it. She called me at noon. Mrs. Wade, I found the footage. All of it. Your daughter-in-law lied. What does it show? Everything. I'm calling your son now. He needs to see this. At 2:30 p.m., Brandon walked into Patricia's office at the Adult Protective Services building. He looked terrible, unshaven, eyes red, like he hadn't slept in days. Mr. Wade, thank you for coming. Patricia gestured to a chair. I have something you need to see. She turned her laptop to face him. This is from your Ring camera system, Cloud Backup. Your wife said she deleted the footage. What she didn't know is that Ring automatically backs up all footage to the cloud for 60 days. Even deleted files remain archived. Brandon leaned forward, tense. Patricia pressed play. 7:45 p.m. Hallway camera, Melissa walking down the hall with a dinner tray. She enters my room. Through the open door, you can see me in my recliner, head drooping forward, clearly asleep. 7:47 p.m. Same camera, Melissa leaving my room, closing the door softly. In the hallway, she checks her phone, smiles at something on the screen, then walks toward the kitchen. 8:15 p.m. Hallway camera, my door still closed. No movement. The blue flicker of the TV visible through the crack under the door. Brandon watched, his face unreadable. 8:40 p.m. Bathroom camera. This was the critical footage. The camera angle caught the bathroom mirror reflection. Melissa stood at the counter. She had a makeup compact open, eyeshadow dark purple-brown color. Brandon's breath caught. On screen, Melissa carefully applied the eyeshadow to her left arm, building up the color, blending it. She pressed her own fingers hard over the makeup, creating indentation marks. She checked her phone again. 8:42 p.m. Then she grabbed her blouse collar and tore it. Once at the shoulder, the fabric ripped with a clear tearing sound caught on the audio. She checked the mirror, tore it again. More convincing now. She picked up mascara, smeared it carefully under her eyes. Not too much, just enough to look like she'd been crying hard. Then came the worst part. She looked at herself in the mirror, took a deep breath, closed her eyes, and started crying. Real tears flowing down her cheeks. She was practicing, rehearsing her victim face. She cycled through expressions, frightened, hurt, traumatized. Checked each one in the mirror like an actress preparing for a role. Brandon stood abruptly, walked to the window, his back to the screen. Patricia continued playing the footage. 8:50 p.m. Front door camera. Brandon's car pulling into the driveway. Headlights sweeping across the rain-soaked street. 8:52 p.m. Hallway camera. Melissa taking one last deep breath, squeezing her eyes shut. Tears starting fresh. She touched her torn blouse, adjusted it, then walked toward the front door, shoulders shaking, face crumpled. She was ready. Patricia stopped the video. The silence in the office was crushing. "No," Brandon whispered. His voice was broken. "That's not—" She staged everything, Mr. Wade." Patricia's voice was quiet but firm. "She created the bruise. She tore her own clothing. She practiced crying. And she did it all while your mother was asleep, exactly as the medication would ensure." Brandon turned from the window. His face was gray. "I threw my father into a storm for this. She was practicing." Patricia closed her laptop. "Mr. Wade, I need to ask you something. Do you know a man named Derek Sullivan?" Brandon looked confused. "Derek? Yes. He's my business partner. We own Wade and Sullivan Consulting." "Why?" "I've been canvassing your neighborhood," Patricia said. "Your neighbor, Mrs. Eleanor Collins, has seen a man visiting your home multiple times when you're traveling for work. She described Derek Sullivan. Black Audi, license plate JKL-8475. The color drained from Brandon's face. "That's Derek's car." Patricia pulled out a folder. "Mrs. Collins is 70 years old. She's lived next door for 15 years. She's been reluctant to say anything because she doesn't like to gossip, but she's concerned." She opened the folder and showed Brandon printed screenshots. "Mrs. Collins has a doorbell camera. It captured these images. September 20th, 2023, 8:23 p.m. A black Audi pulling into Brandon and Melissa's driveway. A man getting out. Tall, well-dressed. Derek Sullivan. Walking to the front door. Melissa opening it, smiling. September 28th, 2023, 7:45 p.m. The same car. Derek again. This time, Melissa greeted him with a kiss on the cheek. October 5th, 2023, 8:10 p.m. Derek's car. Him entering the house with a bottle of wine visible in his hand. Patricia showed 7 different dates, 7 different timestamps. September 20th, 8:23 p.m. September 28th, 7:45 p.m. October 5th, 8:10 p.m. October 12th, 9:02 p.m. The night after he came for dinner. October 19th, 8:15 p.m. October 26th, 8:47 p.m. November 1st, 8:33 p.m. All evening visits. All when Brandon was traveling. all leaving before midnight. On October 19th, Patricia said, you were in San Francisco for 3 days. Derek visited at 8:15 p.m. He didn't leave until 11:47 p.m. Brandon's hands started shaking. Derek Sullivan, my business partner, my friend. His voice cracked on that last word. Mr. Wade, I have a few more questions. Does your wife have a separate bank account that you're aware of? Brandon looked up, confusion mixing with devastation. No, we have joint accounts. Everything's joint. Why would she need a separate account? Because, Patricia said quietly, she was preparing to leave you. Patricia pulled out more documents. With your permission yesterday, I accessed your wife's laptop. The browser history was still there. She hadn't cleared it. She read from her notes. November 10th. Search query, Elder Abuse Settlements, Oregon. November 10th. Search query, average payout, Elder Abuse Lawsuit. November 11th. Search query, how much can you sue for Elder Abuse Portland? November 12th. Legal Forum website. Thread titled, How Much Can You Get for Elder Abuse? Asking for a Friend. She posted under the username Melissa R1986. Patricia looked up. The average settlement for elder abuse in Oregon is $250,000. Some cases go as high as $500,000. Your wife researched this thoroughly. She pulled out printed text messages. These are from your wife's phone. Text conversation with Ashley Martinez, her best friend. November 5th, Melissa to Ashley. I think I found a way out. November 13th, Melissa to Ashley. Tomorrow night, Brandon's flight lands at 8:45. Timing is everything. November 15th, 7:30 p.m. Ashley to Melissa. Good luck tonight. You've got this. November 15th, 10:37 p.m. Melissa to Ashley. It worked. He believed everything. She's gone. November 15th, 10:38 p.m. Ashley to Melissa. I told you it would work. How long until you file? Brandon stood and walked to the corner of the room, his back to Patricia. His shoulders were shaking. Patricia continued, her voice steady. I also found a bank account your wife opened in March 2023. Chase Bank, account number 4478-9832-1156. She's been moving money into it, small amounts so you wouldn't notice. $200 here, $500 there. She showed him the statement. Current balance, $8,547.38. Brandon turned slowly. $8,000. She was stealing from us. She was preparing, Mr. Wade. The pattern is clear now. Your wife was having an affair with your business partner. She wanted out of the marriage, but she wanted financial security, so she created a plan. Patricia ticked off on her fingers. 1. Frame your mother for abuse. Make sure you were away, coming home late, so she could stage everything perfectly. 2. Make sure your mother was asleep from medication so there'd be no witnesses. 3. Delete the ring footage, or so she thought, so there'd be no evidence contradicting her story. 4. Get you to throw your mother out, creating the actual elder abuse situation. 5. Sue you for failing to protect her from your abusive mother. Average settlement, $250,000 to $500,000. 6. Take the money, divorce you, and leave with Derek. And your mother, Patricia said quietly, was just collateral damage, a means to an end. Brandon sank into the chair. She planned this. All of it. Yes. My mother almost died. She collapsed in a church parking lot. She had hypothermia. And it was all... His voice broke. It was all a lie. Yes, Mr. Wade, every word of it. Brandon buried his face in his hands. What have I done? What have I done? Patricia gave Brandon a moment, then, Mr. Wade, I'm scheduling a meeting for November 23rd at 8 a.m. Hospital conference room. You, me, your mother, Pastor Bennett, Detective James Morrison, and your wife. Brandon looked up. Melissa doesn't know you found all this? No. You told her APS was investigating, correct? Yes. She thinks it's just a formality. She said, don't worry. They can't prove anything. It's her word against mine. Patricia's smile was cold. She has no idea what's waiting for her. What will happen to her? That's up to the district attorney. But filing a false police report is a misdemeanor. Elder abuse is a felony. Fraud, conspiracy, theft, all felonies. She's looking at prison time. Brandon nodded slowly. Good. Patricia started gathering her documents. Mr. Wade, your mother told me she doesn't want you in trouble. She said you were manipulated. I was, Brandon whispered. But I still chose to believe Melissa over my own mother. I chose not to call Pastor Gloria. I chose not to check the camera myself. I chose to throw her out into a storm. He looked at Patricia, eyes wet. Can I see her? Not yet. She's not ready. Give her time. Brandon nodded. Will you tell her? His voice cracked. Will you tell her I'm sorry? I know it's not enough, but will you tell her? I will. After Brandon left, Patricia sat in her office reviewing everything. 23 years of investigating elder abuse, and this case was one of the most calculated she'd ever seen. Most abuse was spontaneous, a caregiver losing their temper, a family member stealing out of desperation. This was different. Melissa had researched, planned, timed everything perfectly. She'd used an elderly woman's vulnerability, a son's grief and fear, and a man's loyalty to his wife to create the perfect crime. Almost perfect. She hadn't known about the cloud backup. Patricia picked up her phone and called me. Mrs. Wade, I have everything we need. The truth is documented, time-stamped, and indisputable. She's going to face consequences. Thank you, I said. My voice shook. Thank you for believing me. Evidence doesn't lie, Mrs. Wade, and this evidence is damning. Melissa Reynolds is going to pay for what she did to you. After the call, Patricia prepared her case file. Every document, every screenshot, every timestamp. She compiled it all into a comprehensive report. On November 21st, she visited me at Pastor Gloria's house where I was staying. Mrs. Wade, there's a meeting on November 23rd. Everyone will be there. Brandon, Melissa, Detective Morrison, Gloria, and me. We're going to present all the evidence. Melissa doesn't know? She thinks this is a routine follow-up. Brandon told her APS wants to close the case. She thinks she won. I thought about that. Melissa, confident and smug, walking into that room thinking she'd gotten away with it. What will happen? She'll be arrested, immediately. And Brandon? He's going to have to watch. He's suffering enough, I'd said. He threw you into a storm, Mrs. Wade. Because he was lied to, manipulated. That doesn't erase what he did. No, I agreed. But maybe it explains it. November 22nd, the day before the meeting, I sat in Pastor Gloria's guest room, looking at the clothes she'd bought me. Everything I owned was still at Brandon's house. Gloria had taken me shopping, practical things, slacks, blouses, a warm coat, a new phone. I hadn't called Brandon, hadn't texted. Patricia said he'd sent dozens of messages, all unanswered. I wasn't ready. Gloria knocked on my door. Jenny, Patricia's here. She wants to brief us on tomorrow. We sat in Gloria's living room. Patricia spread documents across the coffee table. Tomorrow at 8 a.m., we present everything. I'll lead the meeting. Detective Morrison will make the arrest. It's going to be difficult, especially for your son. Is there any way? I stopped. Is there any way to do this without destroying him completely? Mrs. Wade, he needs to see what he fell for. He needs to understand how thoroughly he was manipulated. That's the only way he can protect himself in the future. Will they charge Brandon with anything? Elder abuse? Patricia paused. The DA is considering it. Technically, he did commit elder abuse, expelling a vulnerable adult into dangerous conditions. But given that he was deceived and that you're not pressing charges, they'll likely decline prosecution. Good. I don't want my son in jail. Even after what he did? He's still my son. Gloria squeezed my hand. Jenny, you have the biggest heart, but you're allowed to be angry. I am angry, I said, but I'm also heartbroken. And I'm tired. I just want the truth to come out. I want justice. But I don't want revenge. Patricia nodded. Tomorrow, you'll get justice. I promise you that. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the meeting, about seeing Melissa again, about watching her lies crumble, about seeing Brandon's face when he realized what he'd lost. At 3 a.m., I got up and wrote in the journal Gloria had given me. Tomorrow, the truth comes out. I should feel victorious. But mostly I just feel sad. Sad that it came to this. Sad that my son believed a lie over his own mother. Sad that a woman I welcomed into my family turned out to be capable of such cruelty. But I'm also grateful. Grateful for Patricia, who believed me. Grateful for Gloria, who saved my life. Grateful that the evidence survived. Tomorrow, Melissa faces consequences. And maybe, somewhere down the road, Brandon and I can heal. Maybe. At 7:30 a.m. on November 23rd, Gloria drove me to the hospital. We walked through the sliding doors, took the elevator to the 3rd floor, found the conference room. Patricia was already there, setting up her laptop and documents. Mrs. Wade, ready? I took a deep breath. Ready. At 7:52, Brandon arrived. Our eyes met across the room. He looked like he wanted to say something, but I looked away. Not yet. Not until this was done. At 8:03, the door opened. Melissa walked in, confident and smiling, completely unaware of the storm about to hit her. Good morning, she said brightly. Let's get this over with. Patricia looked at me. I nodded. Let's begin, Patricia said. The truth was about to come out. Finally, November 23rd, 2023, 8:03 a.m. Melissa walked into the conference room at Providence Portland Medical Center wearing a navy pantsuit and carrying a designer handbag. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup flawless. She looked like she was going to brunch, not a meeting about elder abuse. Good morning, everyone, she said brightly. I hope we can wrap this up quickly. I have a hair appointment at 10. I sat at the far end of the table, hands folded in my lap. Brandon sat across from me, looking like he hadn't slept in a week. Pastor Gloria was beside me. Detective James Morrison stood near the door, arms crossed. Patricia Washington sat at the head of the table, her leather portfolio closed in front of her. Melissa sat down next to Brandon, reached for his hand. He pulled away slightly. I saw confusion flicker across her face. Thank you for coming, Mrs. Reynolds, Patricia said, her voice professional and cold. We're here to discuss the events of November 15th. You made serious allegations against Mrs. Wade. I've completed my investigation. I stand by what I said, Melissa replied firmly. I know what happened to me. Truth is very important, Patricia said quietly. So let me share what I found. She opened her portfolio. First, the medical records. Patricia pulled out documents. Mrs. Wade's stroke left her right hand grip strength at 38% of normal. This is from her physical therapist, Jennifer Morgan, dated October 20th, 2023. Patient unable to grip objects firmly. Right hand insufficient for sustained pressure. She slid the document toward Melissa. You claimed Mrs. Wade grabbed your left arm hard enough to bruise. The bruise pattern shows right-handed grip. Medical evidence says that's impossible. Maybe the doctors, Melissa started. Medical measurements are objective, Mrs. Reynolds. Patricia pulled out another file. Mrs. Wade's knee surgery notes from Dr. Sarah Mitchell state. Patient at risk of falling with sudden movements. Limited mobility. You claimed she pushed you forcefully. She can barely push a door open without losing balance. Patricia looked directly at Melissa. What you described was physically impossible. The room was silent. Melissa shifted in her seat. Let's talk about the Ring camera, Patricia continued. Melissa straightened. The footage was deleted. I told Brandon I was panicked. Ring keeps cloud backups for 60 days, Patricia interrupted. Even deleted footage remains archived. I accessed your account on November 19th with Mr. Wade's permission. Melissa's face went pale. Patricia turned her laptop to face everyone. Let me show you November 15th. She pressed play. 7:47 p.m. Hallway camera. Melissa leaving my room. Through the open door, I was visible in my recliner, head drooped forward, completely asleep. 8:15 p.m. Same camera. I hadn't moved. Still sleeping. The TV flickering in the background. Mrs. Wade was asleep, Patricia said. Exactly as she told you. 8:40 p.m. The bathroom footage. On screen, Melissa stood at the bathroom mirror. She had makeup in her hand. Dark eyeshadow. She applied it carefully to her left arm, building up color. She pressed her fingers over it, creating indentations. Brandon leaned forward, his breath catching. Melissa grabbed her blouse and tore it deliberately at the shoulder. Once. Twice. She checked the mirror, adjusted the tear. Then she picked up mascara and smeared it under her eyes. She practiced expressions: crying face, frightened face, traumatized face. She checked each one like an actress rehearsing. 8:52 p.m. Hallway camera. Melissa taking a deep breath, squeezing her eyes shut. Real tears started flowing. She walked toward the front door, crying, ready. Patricia stopped the video. The silence was deafening. "You staged everything," Patricia said. Melissa's mouth opened, closed. "That's out of context. You don't understand." "What context makes this acceptable?" Patricia asked. Brandon made a choking sound. He buried his face in his hands. "There's more." Patricia pulled out photographs. "These were taken by your neighbor, Mrs. Eleanor Collins." She laid out photos, one by one. Derek Sullivan's black Audi in the driveway. September 20th, 8:23 p.m. Derek entering the house with wine. October 5th, 8:10 p.m. Derek and Melissa kissing at the door. October 12th, 9:02 p.m. 7 photos total. 7 different dates, all when Brandon was traveling. "Derek Sullivan," Patricia said, "your husband's business partner." Brandon stood abruptly, walked to the window. His shoulders shook. "Brandon," Melissa reached for him. "Don't." His voice was broken. "Don't touch me," Patricia continued, relentless now. "Text messages between you and Ashley Martinez, November 5th. I think I found a way out. November 13th. Tomorrow night, Brandon's flight lands at 8:45. Timing is everything." She pulled out browser history printouts. November 10th, you searched Elder Abuse Settlements, Oregon. November 11th, how much can you sue for elder abuse? The average settlement is $250,000 to $500,000. And finally, Patricia said, a bank account you opened in March 2023. Chase bank account 447-898321156. Current balance, $8,547.38. Your husband didn't know about this account, did he? Brandon turned from the window. What? She was preparing to leave you, Patricia said. Frame your mother, make you throw her out, sue you for elder abuse, take the settlement and leave with Derek. Your mother was just a means to an end. Patricia looked at me. Mrs. Wade, would you like to say anything? I'd been quiet this whole time, watching the truth destroy my son's world. I spoke softly. I almost died that night, Melissa. Melissa looked at me. Really looked for the first time. I had $43 and no phone. It was 38 degrees. I walked 3.5 miles on a surgically repaired knee. I collapsed with hypothermia in a church parking lot. My voice stayed steady. The paramedic said another 20 minutes and I would have been dead. I didn't, Melissa's voice cracked. I thought you'd go to a hotel. I didn't think, you didn't think, Pastor Gloria cut in sharply, because you didn't care. You threw a 65-year-old woman into a storm for money. Detective Morrison stepped forward. Melissa Reynolds, stand up. Wait, what? Melissa's eyes went wide. You're under arrest for filing a false police report, elder abuse in the first degree, conspiracy to commit fraud, and attempted theft by deception. No, Brandon, Melissa turned to my son. Brandon, please. This is a mistake. Morrison pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The handcuffs clicked around her wrists. Brandon, please. I love you. Tell them this is wrong. Brandon never turned around. He stood at the window, staring out at the November rain. "Brandon!" Melissa sobbed as Morrison led her to the door. "Don't let them do this! Brandon!" The door closed. Her voice echoed down the hallway, then faded. Silence filled the room. Brandon turned slowly. His face was destroyed, red eyes, tears on his cheeks. He looked at me. "Mom, just one word. Broken. I didn't know what to say. I threw you into a storm," he whispered. "For her. For that." He walked to the door, stopped without turning back. "I'm sorry." Barely audible. Then he left. Patricia began gathering her documents. "Mrs. Wade, when you're discharged, do you have somewhere to go?" "She's staying with me," Gloria said firmly. "As long as she needs." I sat there exhausted. Justice had been served. The truth had won. So why did my heart still hurt? May 14th, 2024. 6 months later. I watched the sentencing via video call from Ruth's living room in Tucson. I'd moved there in December 2023. Couldn't stay in Portland anymore. Too many ghosts. Ruth's house was small but warm. Brick walls, tile floors, a view of the Catalina Mountains. Safe. Judge Sarah Hendricks looked down from the bench, her face stern. "Melissa Reynolds, you exploited a vulnerable elderly woman for financial gain. You destroyed a family through calculated deception. You staged a crime with premeditation. This court shows no leniency for elder abuse." Melissa stood in an orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed. She looked small, broken. 18 months at Coffee Creek Correctional Facility. 3 years supervised probation upon release. Permanent restraining order prohibiting contact with Jenny Wade. Restitution of $15,000 for medical expenses. $25,000 in court fees. The gavel came down. Melissa's head dropped. The screen went dark. Ruth brought me tea. "How do you feel?" "Empty," I said honestly. "I thought I'd feel something. Victory, relief, but I just feel empty." Derek Sullivan had been fired. Brandon sued him for $200,000, breach of fiduciary duty, their business dissolved, their friendship destroyed. Ashley Martinez claimed she didn't know the full plan. No charges were filed against her. Brandon sold the Portland house in April, moved to a small apartment downtown, started therapy. He hadn't contacted me, not once in 6 months. I told myself that was fine, that I needed space, but late at night, I missed my son. Late June, 2024. A letter arrived, Portland postmark, Brandon's handwriting. I stared at it for an hour before opening. "Dear Mom, I've been in therapy for 4 months. Dr. Richard Williams is helping me understand how I became someone who could throw his mother into a storm without asking a single question. He says I was manipulated, but that doesn't excuse what I did. You begged me to call Pastor Gloria. You begged me to check the camera. I chose to believe Melissa over you. I failed you as a son. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know I'm sorry. I'm working to become better than the man I was that night. I love you, Mom. I always have." Brandon, I cried reading it. Then I put it in a drawer and didn't respond. More letters came. One every week. July 2024. Dr. Williams asked why I believed her so fast. I realized, after Dad died, I was terrified of being alone. I clung to Melissa like a life raft. I didn't see she was drowning me. August 2024. I visited Dad's grave today. Told him what I did. I know he'd be ashamed of me. I'm ashamed of me. September 2024. Therapy is teaching me about manipulation tactics. How Melissa isolated me slowly. Made you seem like a burden. Made me resent helping you. I fell for all of it. October 2024. I sold my share of the business. Starting over. Sometimes I think about that night. You standing in the rain, begging me to listen. That image will haunt me forever. As it should. I read every letter. Some twice. But I never responded. I wasn't ready. November 15th, 2024. 1 year since the storm. A letter arrived, different from the others. "Mom, It's been a year since I threw you out. The anniversary of the worst thing I've ever done. I know you're not ready to forgive me. Maybe you never will. But if you'd let me, I'd like to visit. Just once. Just to see you. To say in person what I've been writing. If the answer is no, I understand. Love by Nene and Brandon. I held the letter for 3 days. Finally called Ruth. What should I do? What do you want to do, Jenny? I want to see my son, I admitted. But I'm scared. Scared I'll forgive too easily. Scared I won't forgive at all. Scared it'll hurt all over again. Ruth squeezed my hand. Then tell him that. Tell him the truth. I texted Brandon. You can visit. December 1st, 2 p.m., one afternoon. His response came immediately. Thank you, Mom. I'll be there. December 1st, 2024. Brandon's rental car pulled up at 2:03 p.m. I watched from Ruth's window as he got out. He looked older, grayer hair, thinner face. 41 years old, but looking 50. He knocked. Ruth let him in, gave him a hard look, then left us alone. We sat at the kitchen table. Couldn't look at each other at first. Mom, his voice shook. I threw you into a storm because I chose to believe her without asking you one question. You chose your wife over your mother, I said quietly. That's natural, but you didn't give me a chance to defend myself. Silence stretched between us. Dad would have asked questions first, I said. Brandon's face crumpled. I miss Dad every day. After he died, I was so scared of being alone. That fear made me stupid. Made me cling to the wrong person. Made me push away the right ones. Being alone is better than being with a liar. I know that now. He looked at me, really looked. I can't undo that night. I can't erase the image of you standing in the rain, begging me to listen, and me slamming the door. I'll carry that forever. Good, I said. Not cruelly, just honestly. You should. He nodded, accepting it. I'm not asking you to forget, Brandon continued. I'm asking. Can we try? Can we try to build something new? Something honest? I thought about it. Really thought. I can't come back to Portland. Maybe never. I understand. But you can visit here, once a month. We'll try to rebuild something different. Something built on truth, not assumptions. Brandon's eyes filled with tears. Once a month. I'll take it. Thank you, Mom. We shook hands. Not a hug, not yet. I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby. But trust takes time to rebuild. I know, and I'll wait however long it takes. After he left, Ruth came and stood beside me. You did good, Jenny. Set boundaries. Left the door open. That's all you can do. The visits continued. Once a month, Brandon flew to Tucson. January 2025. Stilted conversation. Safe topics. Weather, news, Ruth's garden. March 2025. Our first hug. Brief, uncertain, but real. May 2025. Brandon talked about therapy. I'm learning to trust my own judgment again, to ask questions instead of just believing. July 2025. We laughed together. Ruth told an embarrassing story about me as a kid, and we laughed until we cried. September 2025. I told him, I've forgiven you, Brandon, months ago, but trust takes longer than forgiveness. Thank you for giving me the chance to earn it back. October 2025. Brandon came for his regular visit. We sat on Ruth's porch drinking iced tea. Mom, I need to tell you something. My heart clenched. What? I'm dating someone. Her name is Rachel Thompson. She's 32. She teaches 3rd grade, like you did. I set down my tea. Tell me about her. She's kind, genuine, real. I told her everything on our second date, the whole truth. She said everyone deserves a chance to be better than their worst mistake. Wise woman. She'd like to meet you, whenever you're ready. I surprised myself. Bring her for Christmas. Brandon's face lit up. Really? Really. But Brandon, If she ever makes you choose between her and family, you run. Promise me." "I promise, Mom." December 25th, 2025. I woke at 6 a.m. in Ruth's guest room. 2 years since the storm. 2 years since everything fell apart. Could we really rebuild? Brandon and Rachel arrived at 11 a.m. Rachel was petite with warm brown eyes and an easy smile. She wore a simple green dress and carried wine in a poinsettia. "Mrs. Wade, I'm Rachel Thompson. It's an honor to meet you." "Call me Jenny, sweetheart." Ruth had cooked all morning. Glazed ham, sweet potatoes, green beans, peach cobbler. Pastor Gloria had driven down from Portland. 6 of us around Ruth's table. Ruth said grace. "Lord, thank you for this food, this family, and second chances. Amen." During dinner, Rachel told stories about her third graders. She was funny, passionate, real. I watched Brandon watch her. He was different with her. Present. Happy. This wasn't Melissa. This was real. After dinner, Brandon and I washed dishes together. "She's wonderful," I said. "She is." He handed me a plate. "Mom, are you happy?" "I'm at peace. That's better than happy sometimes. Thank you for not giving up on me. You're my son. I could never give up on you." Before we returned to the others, he pulled me into a real hug. Tight, warm, full of love. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too, baby." Ruth gathered everyone on the porch for a photo. Arizona sunset painted the sky orange and gold. Brandon stood beside me, arm around my shoulders, just like at Samuel's funeral, but different now. Redeemed. "Everyone say family," Ruth called. "Family." The camera clicked. In that moment, I realized this wasn't the family I expected. Brandon's marriage had failed. Melissa had tried to destroy us. I'd nearly died. But we survived. The truth survived. And love, real love, built on honesty, survived too. My name is Jenny Wade. I'm 67 years old. 2 years ago, my son threw me into a freezing storm because his wife told a perfect lie. I thought I wouldn't survive that night, but I did. The truth came out, documented in timestamps and medical records and ring camera footage. Justice was served. Melissa Reynolds served 18 months in prison. My son learned the hardest lessons of his life, and we rebuilt. Not what we had before, that was gone, but something new, something stronger, built on truth instead of blind trust, on accountability instead of assumptions. I learned that at 67, wisdom comes from the hardest places. I learned that family isn't automatic. It's earned through honesty and hard work. I learned that being kind doesn't mean being weak. Some storms come to destroy, but others come to wash away the lies, leaving only truth. I am a mother. He is my son. And real love survives even the coldest rain. The greatest victory wasn't the arrest or the restitution money or even my son's apology. The greatest victory was Christmas morning, watching Brandon laugh with a good woman while peach cobbler cooled on Ruth's counter, knowing we'd survived the storm. Together. Looking out at the Arizona mountains from Ruth's porch, I finally understood. I didn't just survive. I found peace. And peace, I've learned, is the truest form of victory. Some people ask if I regret not fighting harder that night, not screaming at Brandon until he listened, not forcing him to check the camera. I don't regret it, because that night revealed the truth, not just about Melissa's lies, but about who we all really were. Brandon had to face what he'd become. I had to find strength I didn't know I had. The truth had to fight its way to the surface, and it did. That's the thing about truth. You can bury it, delete it, lie about it. But truth is patient. Truth waits. And when the time is right, truth rises like the sun after the longest night. I'm 67 years old. I survived a stroke, a storm, and a betrayal that nearly killed me. And I'm still here, still standing, still loving my son, even after everything. Because that's what mothers do. We survive. We forgive when forgiveness is earned. And we love even when love is hard. This is my story. Every word is true. And if you're going through your own storm right now, whether it's betrayal or loss or fear, I want you to know something. Keep walking, one foot in front of the other. The church steeple is out there, even if you can't see it yet. Help is coming. The truth will rise, and you will survive. I promise.